All right. How you guys doing? Thank you for joining me. Here we are. What is this? Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday already. Tuesday afternoon. And I am ready for the evening session of neurofeedback, EEG biofeedback. So we're just going to jump right into it without further ado. First, I want to give you guys an explanation of the neocortex. Not only the neocortex, but the area of the neocortex known as the motor cortex. As you can see, it goes right where the headphone band goes, right over the top of the head. And as soon as we get to this display scene, I'm going to give you guys a chance to check it out. So here you go. All right, so here we are. Now, let's watch this video right quick. I found a pretty good video on one of these websites. It's on YouTube that explains the motor cortex and its function. So, without further ado, we're going to check this out.
The part of the brain that does the job of executing voluntary movements is the motor cortex. The required movements are carried out in such a way that they best suit the individual's current position. Did you know? The left motor cortex is involved in regulating movement of the right side of the body, while the right motor cortex coordinates movements of the left side of the body. Have you ever thought which part of the brain plays a crucial role in generating voluntary movement? Well, it is the motor cortex. It lies slightly at the back side of the frontal lobe, one of the four major lobes that sits at the front portion of the brain. The motor cortex lies prior to the central sulcus, a fissure-like structure that allows us to distinguish the frontal lobe and parietal lobe. Function, as the name suggests, the motor cortex deals with the motor function of the body, meaning it is involved in the movement of muscles to perform a specific task. Our ability to produce movements, such as picking up small objects, are linked to the proper working of the motor cortex. Be it small movements, such as moving the fingers, or the large movements, such as sitting and rolling, the motor cortex plays a crucial role right from initiation to execution of movement. To put it simply, the voluntary contraction of muscles for normal movement is something that is supervised by the motor cortex. At the time of initiating movement, the upper motor neurons located in the motor cortex transmit electrical signals, which run through other structures of the brain, such as basal ganglia and brainstem, and is received by the lower motor neurons located in the spinal cord. The signal then travels down from one lower motor neuron to another and finally arrives at the desired muscle group. Upon receiving the signal, the muscles contract, causing voluntary movement. Different regions of the motor cortex. Premotor cortex. In order to execute a specific movement, certain muscles need to be contracted. The premotor cortex analyzes and accurately determines the group of muscles that need to be used to carry out the specific movement. It takes into account the current position and posture of the body when choosing the set of muscles to execute the movement. For instance, for kicking a soccer ball, the premotor cortex rightly decides to move the leg muscles to initiate the action. Primary motor cortex. This part of the brain actually communicates with the motor neurons of the spinal cord to stimulate the intended muscles. In short, the primary motor cortex is involved in sending signals that contribute directly in generating movement. Supplemental motor area (SMA). One of the main functions of the SMA is to supervise bimanual coordination. In bimanual coordination, multiple movements need to be executed at simultaneously to achieve desired action or task.
My probe is right here.
For example, actions that involve the use of both hands will require coordination between the left and right motor cortex. This is done by the SMA, which helps to produce a combination of movements simultaneously to execute the complex action. So our ability to move both hands simultaneously to complete a specific task has been attributed to the proper working of the SMA. The SMA also assists in deciding the sequence of movements so as to arrive at an optimum movement path to carry out a complex action. A point to note here is that the motor cortex does not decide whether to execute a movement or not. For instance, upon seeing a piece of chocolate lying on the floor, the decision to pick it up is taken by the prefrontal cortex, which lies just ahead of the premotor cortex. The prefrontal cortex then, accordingly, signals the motor cortex to carry out the movement. Also, the motor cortex is not the only area involved in carrying out precise movements. Other parts of the brain, such as the basal ganglia and cerebellum, equally contribute to produce motor output.
That's interesting how they gave the computerized text-to-speech voice a rolling R. The brain. So you can see here the motor cortex basically runs over the top of the head like a headphone, right? All right. So if you're trying to train, right, for athletic superiority, then you want to train. You can see my probe is right about here, right between the premotor cortex, primary motor cortex, and the supplementary motor cortex. And I'm referencing against my frontal lobe, and I'm going to do that for a half hour, and then I'm going to move the frontal lobe probes to back here at the cerebellum, right at the nape of the neck, right there, to work the cerebellum. We're trying to establish neural pathways, right, between the motor cortex and the cerebellum and the motor cortex and the frontal lobe. A few more illustrations so that you can understand exactly where we are on the head, on the brain. I like knowing my way around the human brain. Right? It's pretty much the same in every illustration, as you can see. All right. So that's what we're training today. Okay? We also train Broca's area for the initiation of speech. If people have stuttering problems, they could be afflicted with Broca's aphasia. And the other areas that is associated with speech would be Wernicke's or Wernicke's area right here. All right? But we're not training for rapping. We're training for athletic performance today. You can see all the parts of the body that the motor cortex affects. Right? The somatosensory cortex and the motor cortex seem to affect the same parts of the body in the same place. Right? Okay, just so that we're absolutely on the same page with reference to where we are training. You see how here it looks like it's a flat plane going through the head, like a headphone band, right? All right, so let's get back here. And let's see, window capture 3. All right. So now, as you can see, that we set up Signet. It's at 50 hertz already. I've already brought the frequency up to 50 hertz, and we are on synchrony. So now it's time to begin our session. You can see my brain waves appearing right here across the middle. Left hemisphere on the left side, the right hemisphere on the right side. Actually, I'm sorry. The left hemisphere, channel 2, yes, is on the right side. That's why you see more activity. And the right hemisphere is on the left side. But it's very much in accordance with the brain itself, right? Now, these are my graphs. Now, what you see on the right-hand side, I don't know if you could read the screen. The red are delta, purple are theta. So delta, 0 to 5 hertz. Theta, around 7 hertz. Alpha, around 10 hertz. Beta, around 20 hertz. And high beta, around 25 hertz. There is no graph for gamma, and I'm training gamma. So, unfortunately, we won't be able to see how effectively I'm training. Now, below that, you'll see these spikes. Every time you see a spike is when I'm coming into synchrony. Over here on the left side, you can see, oops, maybe I can bring this in a little bit more. Well, it might be kind of hard to make it so that you can see my synchrony. Not quite sure we can accomplish that today, but whenever you hear the gong, it's called the reward. It means both hemispheres of my brain are in sync with each other at the target frequency, which is 50 hertz. So without further ado, let's get to my session. Love you too, man. See you later. Mwah. See you tomorrow. Trust me, it takes a lot of training to be able to get these gongs back to back like this. The reward signal. All right, now that's the first half hour. Yeah, sometimes we split the session, right? Because it's more effective to change the point of reference, or it's more effective to change the point of training. But either way, what I'm going to do now for the second half is I'm going to move my probes from the frontal lobe to the cerebellum. Right? Because what we're trying to do is establish new neural pathways of communication to and from the motor cortex. So you prepare the area with alcohol and a little bit of exfoliation from the NeuroFeedback gel. Remember the difference between electrolyte gel, which is what NeuroFeedback is, and dielectric gel, which has the exact opposite. Dielectric gel is often used in ultrasound, and it looks the same. It has the same pasty green color. So you got to be very careful. Turquoise, blue-green color. You have to be very careful because the purpose of a dielectric is to block the flow of electricity, and the purpose of an electrolyte is to conduct electricity. And so, whereas the gel for neurofeedback or for EKG use is electrolyte, the gel for ultrasound is dielectric. Electrolyte versus dielectric. So basically, don't crisscross. If you crisscross the probes, in other words, if I'm training the left hemisphere with channel 1 and the right hemisphere with channel 2, which is actually the opposite of what I'm doing. So let's just say if I'm training the right hemisphere with channel 1 and the left hemisphere with channel 2, then you have to stay on the same hemisphere. If you crisscross, you may throw up. That's the reaction you get if you have your neurofeedback probes hooked up wrong. You don't want to crisscross the hemispheres of the brain. It'll kind of make you throw up. Perfect. And now we resume. Well, we seem to have something kind of stuck with Signet. Signet is very resource intensive. We'll pause. And then we'll restart. How's that? Well, here we go. Signet is very resource intensive, and we seem to have come to an impasse where Signet is freezing in my pause from training the frontal lobe against the motor cortex to the cerebellum against the motor cortex. Now, I'm going to continue my training, Don't no doubt about it. Don't believe otherwise. However, I have to do so without you guys. So, because I have to restart the computer. You know, Signet is very resource intensive. You have to have a lot of RAM. You have to have a super powerful graphics card, and it's just very resource intensive. But thank you for joining me for this first half. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me again. This has been the Peak Performance Protocol. And, I really wish I wouldn't have had the technical difficulties, but that's part of using Signet. That's part of doing EEG, electroencephalographic biofeedback training, EEG biofeedback training, otherwise known as neurofeedback. Like I said before, and earlier on in this video, we're training the motor cortex, and we're training it for peak athletic performance, which of course we're establishing during the daylight videos, the daylight live videos of me actually training. Now, I like to have the camera on when I'm lifting weights, but 24-Hour Fitness doesn't play that because they often have music playing, and so my videos get popped by YouTube for having music. So there you have it. But thank you very much. As always, I want everyone to stay kind, and be kind. Don't be an asshole. Stay kind, because kind is not only the new sexy, kind is the only sexy, as I always say. Stay blessed, especially during this holiday season. Stay blessed and give blessings to all of your loved ones, especially the ones that came in town to visit you. And stay healthy. Stay healthy. Enjoy a robust state of good health. Be healthy physically and mentally, as you can see what I'm doing here. Now, I happen to have gotten a new set of leads. I'm very excited about it because, neurofeedback, you have to have good quality stuff, good quality hardware. But I'm still using my old leads because they're still good. I still get a good, positive, strong signal out of it. But yeah, this has been Biomed RX TV and Devin Lockett again, the Peak Performance Protocol. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Gold label quality Biomed RX CBD oil is made from organic hemp that is locally grown, glyphosate free, gluten free, non-GMO, homogenized, third-party tested, and CO2 extracted. Visit www.biomedrxcbd.com.
Frequency full-spectrum multivitamin supplement should contain 56 nutrients most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone health,
iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linoleic acid from evening primrose oil, octocinol, grapeseed extract, a potent antioxidant important for maintaining capillary strength, and vegetarian digestive enzymes. Visit www.biomanrx.com